Is the Caran Studio Gouache set actually worth it? I've been using mine the last couple of years. It's got a bit messy, but it's definitely well loved. And I have a few thoughts you might find useful today if you're considering purchasing this. If you're wondering if dry gouache is just a gimmick or it's actually a game changer, then stick around for this video. I'm going to be reviewing this Studio Gouache set, swatching, testing, and even doing a bit of a sketch with them. And one last question before I go. How do you say gouache? Is it gouache? Is it gouache? I'm really interested to know. So let me know in the comments below. Now let's take a look at this set. Sketch I did. It's like the Cambridge. See, because as much as I love sizing, as you would use a traditional gouache. Here's my Caran gouache set. It comes in this beautiful red tin, of which I've got a few of the Caran products, and they're all packaged in these lovely bright red tins. When you actually get this, it comes wrapped up and you have this card around it, which I'm sure I don't really need to show you how that would be, but there it is. That's how it comes. And you snip along this bit here, and when you open it up, you have got a swatch card, which is very useful. Unfortunately, I haven't done mine, and I probably won't do it, to be honest, because they don't actually correspond with the colours inside, and by that I mean how they've laid them out. There's like 7 in a row, and these are sort of all over the place, really. They don't correspond with it. Anyway, that's how it comes. So I'll just open this up to give you a good, it's a really solid metal kit, which is great to be repurposed. You could take the paints out and use it as a pencil tin. You could even, I think I have seen people who've stuck the pans down all in one side, and then you've got the other side for using for maybe some gouache in a tube, which could be very useful. Anyway, when you open it up, just move the coffee out of the way, you've got this lovely large mixing area. I've cleaned mine up because it's absolutely filthy. It looked a bit more like this. But this is how it will come, and I really like these big areas, which are really useful. I tend to keep mine for like a green area, blue area, red, yellow, browns, greys, etc. So you can just keep opening it up and you're ready to go, really. You've already mixed colours that you generally like. Also inside you've got a brush, and this is a size 8. I really like this brush. To say I've had this kit probably 3 years, maybe a little bit longer, but it's kept its shape. I've never had problems really with anything falling out of it. It's got a nice snap to it, really nice to use, a good size as well. You can use a tip for finer things, and you've obviously it covers a fair bit of area. It's not too small, which is nice. Then you have 1 tube of white gouache. This is really useful if you do want to try and get that gloopy feel to your gouache set. As these are dried, they're never going to be like your studio gouache, which comes in the tubes. It is a dried gouache product. At the end of the day, it will never quite have that feel unless you go for those jelly gouaches, which I've never had, and I don't know how they are. This is a student set, but I find the colours really true. They don't go far away from what you'd expect, and they mix really well. What I really love about using this set is it is user friendly. You can just take this around with you. You've got a lovely big palette area, your brush, your gouaches, and you can use it as a watercolour. You can water it down. It works really well like that. Or you can add a few layers to give you that deeper, more opaque gouache feel, which is nice to work on, especially for mixed media, right? If you want to draw on top of it. To freshen up the pans, I find it really useful to have a spray bottle and just give it a quick spray. Give that a minute or 2 to work in, and that does help a little bit. But they don't crack, they don't fall out. They can be replaced as well. I believe you can buy these separately. but I've never tried. They do claim on their website that that's something you can do, so let me know in the comments below if that is something you've already done. The set I've got, because I've had it for a few years, comes with a grey, and I think the up-to-date set has a mauve in it as well, so just so that you know, you might not get the exact colours, but I only think it's the grey which is different. So what I thought we'd do is get on and swatch them, and we'll do them in this order, and then I'm going to show you some really useful mixes, or some surprising mixes perhaps, that you might find useful, and some different palettes that you can get with this set. I find this really good because there are about 3 or 4 different colour mixing wheels, which means that you can use it in lots of different ways. And you'll see my sketching at the end as well, a couple of sketches that I've done. Right, so let's get on with the swatching. Let's get swatching then and test out these colours. So the first one is this lovely yellow, lemon yellow colour, and I'm just going to pop it in here. I'm also going to put a bit on this black ink line that I did earlier, just to show you how opaque it is really. Okay, and we're going to need a pen. And so officially this colour is, well, it is lemon yellow. And that's number 240. Next to the lemon yellow is just yellow, which is a far warmer, slightly more, well, more onto the red scale, so a warmer yellow. I hope you can read my writing and it's not too blurry. And the number for this one is 010. We've then got vermilion, which is a gorgeous orangey red. A real vermilion colour that, as the name suggests. So we've got vermilion. Is it 1L or 2? I can never remember. I think it's 1. And the number for this one is 060. And gouache next to it is the Carmine Lake, which is more of your blue red. And I've not been putting these on the line, have I? So we'll pop that one on there. I'll just go back and put the yellow on. And the vermilion. So that Carmine Lake really does make me think of Alizarin Crimson. I don't know what the difference, I guess the pigments obviously, but I don't know how different they are when they're up close to each other. Next is the magenta. I absolutely love this colour. I'm not sure how light fast these colours are, and to be honest I don't really care because I only want to use them for quick sketches and sketchbook things really, and I'm not going to be precious about them. So this is magenta, and yeah, it's got a real luminosity to it. Put that on the black line, and next to the magenta is very creatively named brown. Now even though I've gone in quite watery, well, with a watery brush, it's still really opaque, this colour. And again, I've not put it on the line, have I? I'm not doing very well, am I? Yeah, and you can't, that's really covering that black for a first layer as well. So we've got brown, 059. I'm going to remember to put it on the black line this time. So this is ochre. I'm not sure why they didn't call it yellow ochre, because I mean it just looks like yellow ochre to me. Again, a really nice opaque earthy colour. And yay, I've remembered to put it on the line. And that's ochre. 035 if you need the number for any reason. So you can order these. If you run out, they're available to order as refills. I'm not sure how you go about doing that. I've never tried. Don't know if it's an easy thing to do or not, to be honest. So I'm interested. If you've ever refilled your tin, let me know. That's not something that I've done. And then I want to say this is called spring green, but it isn't. It's called yellow green. And it's a really vibrant, lovely, lovely green. And whoops, I've done it again, haven't I? Okay, so this is 230 yellow green. Let's put it on the line before I forget. So, I mean, these aren't dry yet, but you can see that they're not the most opaque of colours. If you used fresh gouache out of a tube, you're more likely to get it be covering that line. So I think these are somewhere really between a watercolour and a gouache. I think they're amazing. I really love them. I love the fact that you can use them like a watercolour and really water them down. And I just love this big palette as well. Anyway, let's move on. So the next one is emerald green. I'm going to go in for this line first this time. And that really is a lovely emerald green. And the number for that is 210. Okay, moving on, we've got malachite green next to that. So there's 3 greens in this tin, which is always good. This is obviously a really blue green. It's absolutely gorgeous. Isn't that lovely? So malachite green. Number for that is, I have got a list aside of me, which is, I haven't just remembered these magically. That's certainly not my strong point, remembering numbers. Right, let's move on again. So not many left to go now. So the cyan. So as I was just briefly saying, you can really water these down. They work beautifully wet and to wet. I had a go at doing some, I mean, they were just doodles, but really, I'm not going to fall for that again. I'm going to pop it on the line before I stop. Yeah, you can make some lovely flowers with these and really sort of lovely loose watercolour effects. So we've got cyan 170. And last 3, I'm not going to swatch the white because it's white. Next to the cyan, we've got ultramarine. Another little tip when you're using this box, I found I spray them, haven't done today, don't know why, but usually just with my little spray bottle, I'll show you this one here. I'll just give it a quick spray and just leave it for a second or two, and that works really well for activating them, so it's a bit easier. And I think it does granulate slightly, this ultramarine, which is good. So 140 ultramarine. And then, now this is where the sets vary. Mine's a fairly old set. I've had it for 3, possibly 4 years, I can't remember. But mine has a grey in it, which actually I find quite useful. I've missed it again, haven't I? Because, yeah, you can make some lovely greys very easily by mixing in, obviously, some of the other colours. It's very opaque. And actually, when you paint, you do use grey quite a lot. So it's quite nice having that as a pan. However, the new tins have a mauve in them, which again is quite another good mixing colour. But this one is 005 grey. And finally, all the pure watercolourists out there probably don't believe in having a black, or a lot of artists don't believe in blacks, I think. However, I like them. And I'll tell you why. It's because when you mix them with like lemon yellow, you get the most gorgeous, mossy, olivey maybe green, which is very natural and very useful. So I don't mind a black, and also because I'm a bit of a fan of the Zorn palette, which is, well, uses black almost like a blue. I like having a black in my palette. So there you go. Right, so they're all the colours swatched out. I mean, they haven't had a long chance to dry, but you can see, yeah, they're not the most opaque of colours. Certainly these ones that probably use the cheaper pigments, I imagine, the ochre, the brown, the grey, and the black's quite, it appears to be fairly opaque as well. They are more opaque than the other colours, I would say. Maybe the vermilion is a little bit more opaque. So that's the swatching bit done. What I'm going to do now is show you a few interesting mixes that you can do with this set. By that I mean some different colour wheels that are really nice to use, and also a couple of interesting mixes that you get. The great thing also about this palette is the fact that you've got some different colour wheel options that you can use. I'm just going to start by showing you the obvious one, which is a primary palette, and that would be, well, you could go for a warm primary palette, and I would use your vermilion, and then also your yellow, and the ultramarine. So by mixing those colours together, you should get some lovely warm secondary colours. You could use, which is what a lot of printing is done on, is something called the CYMK palette or colour wheel, and it gives you really true colours. So for that you would use your magenta, which is what the M stands for, the lemon yellow, the C stands for the cyan, which is next to the ultramarine. I mustn't get the wrong one, which is this colour here. And the K stands, I believe, for key, which is black. So let's pop a little black there. Oops, that's a very watery black, but you've got the idea. So that's the CYMK palette. You could use, another interesting one is a very earthy natural palette. So instead of using the yellow, you would opt for, oh, let me write it down first before we forget, earthy, let's call this one a natural palette. I won't write palette out again. So we've got yellow is your ochre, the blue would be your ultramarine again, like in the warm primary palette, and your red would be the Carmine Lake. So if you do have this set, I mean, I encourage you, or if you want to get this set, I strongly encourage you to obviously mix your own colours and try just using one of these palettes, because they will vary the colours that you get from just mixing with those colours and avoiding the other ones. And I'll just show you one last palette, which is one of my favourites, and that's the Zorn palette, and I mentioned it earlier. So the Zorn palette consists of black, yellow ochre, and vermilion red. And it relies quite heavily on white as well. So I will put a splodge on actually, just to show you, because I can show you then if I put it on this tin lid here. Water's getting really dirty now. Yeah, if we just paint a bit on here as well, that's quite watery. Don't know if you can see it, Yeah, this is called the Zorn palette. Honestly, if you've never used it before, go and give it a go. It's really interesting to use, really good for doing, I mean, you wouldn't think it, but actually it's really good for doing portraits. Yeah, it's amazing actually, and it's amazing how little you can get away with just having those 4 colours, what you can do with it. I've played with it over the years, absolutely love using it because it's so different. But anyway, go and look up the artist as well, Zorn. It's quite interesting. So yeah, have a play with those. I love the fact that you can experiment with those in this box quite freely because yeah, you've got all the colours there to obviously do it. Here's a couple of lovely interesting mixes that you can also do, which you might not know, you might know, but I thought I'd show them to you anyway. So if you mix the vermilion and you add the malachite green, which is, make sure I've got the right one, the third one in, you get a really lovely black. So I'll just make a note of that one. So it was using the vermilion and the malachite green, and it gives you this beautiful black. I mentioned the Zorn palette as well earlier. I'll just show you a few skin colours that you can do. So using the ochre and the vermilion, if you use them in varying amounts, obviously no one's really that colour, but you can use these like a watercolour almost. So you start getting some really lovely skin colours. Obviously you can use them thicker as well. If you add a little bit of black into it, it sort of works like, what am I doing? If you add some of the black into it, let's pop a bit in there, you start getting your darker skin tones. I'll show you some ones that have dried as well so you can see how they work out. If we add a bit more, or if we let's put some of the white into it, you can get really pinks, but add a bit more of the white. You can get some lovely, for different areas of the face. These are really watery, they don't have to be. Yeah, it's just to show you all the different types of skin tones that you can get just by playing around really and mixing different areas. So yeah, it's a lovely palette to use for doing portraits. I'm just going to show you as well one of my all-time favourite mixes that I find really good for creating lovely greens, and that's using your lemon yellow and adding in some black into it, which gives you a very natural green, which again you can add more black into to get like a foresty green. Don't know if you know the Lightfast, the Derwent Lightfast pencil, that's almost a similar green, or you could add loads of yellow into it as well. Just gonna, I don't know how much variant that would be from the one we've just painted, not a lot, but it's just a handy one just to have in your toolkit, I always find, if you've got a nice black. And what I'm going to do is I have got a page where I experimented with all different colours, and I'll just go through some of those with you now. Here's a few other interesting mixes that you might find helpful. I just thought I'd go through a few of them with you. Obviously, we mentioned the CYMK palette earlier. I don't know why I've written a Y there. That's just not on at all, is it? So we'll change that to magenta. But if you mix the magenta with the cyan, you get this really lovely purple. If you mix them all together, there is also this gorgeous, it reminds me of that Inktense pencil. The name escapes me. Is it Mist? I can't, Mink, that's the one. You get that mink type of colour, which is lovely. The cyan with the lemon yellow, actually that's yellow, it gives you this very bright green. The magenta with the yellow gives you very true red, which is rather nice. Then you've got lemon yellow with the cyan, gives you this turquoisey sea type of green. And the lemon yellow with magenta here gives you another type of red as well. These colours I find particularly interesting. I think these are really great for landscapes. Really useful if you want to take the box out with you or just paint at home and do a landscape. So the ochre and the brown give you this really nice burnt sienna type of colour. And lemon yellow and black we went through earlier, olive green. The Carmine Lake with the ultramarine is a lovely heather type of colour. Obviously we talked about the, well actually we went through malachite green with the vermilion, which give you the black. But if you mix the emerald green with the magenta, you get a type of Payne's grey as well. And on the other side of the paper, here we've got some, it's a lovely grey for doing buildings, especially modern buildings. If you're in a city, if you're not in the city and you want to do some older style buildings, then maybe a warm limestone colour rather, would be useful, and that's mixing the grey, the ochre with a bit of the white. You have some lovely brick colours here using the vermilion, the brown and the ochre. That gives you a really lovely warm brick colour. Using the grey, if you've got the grey in your kit with the ultramarine, is useful for slate roofs. You've got weathered wood using the brown, ochre and the grey. If you're doing reflections or highlights, if you use the cyan with a bit of the white, you get really nice, especially for glass. If you're painting a building with windows in it, then that can be useful. Alternatively, at night, you could mix the white with one of the yellows. I think this was just the yellow, the warmer yellow, and you get that nighttime glow colour. As I showed you earlier with the flesh tones using the Zorn palette, if you mix the ochre with the vermilion and some of the white, you get all these lovely skin colours. The vermilion and the cyan is a muted blue-grey. The lemon yellow and ultramarine give you this lovely slushy green, be really useful on leaves. Grey and yellow give you this green, another natural green, and the Carmine Lake and emerald green give you, I think I mentioned it earlier, like not a Payne's grey really, but it's yeah, a different type of green, which again I think is quite a useful one. Let me know what colour mixes you like doing as well, or you find useful from this tin. Look, overall, I really enjoy this set. I really like it. It's perfect for sketchbooks and for doing quick studies. If I were doing professional work, then yeah, I think I would stick to the tubes because they are more opaque, and yeah, they give you that more professional look to them. They're probably more light fast as well. I can't imagine, I don't know the light fast ratings of this box. I've not even looked into it because I don't care, to be honest, but it's just a lovely thing to use. I'm just going to quickly show you some of the sketches, the type of things you can do with them. You might have seen from my previous video, I did this really quick sort of doodle sketch in this one of my sketchbooks. And you can use it really watered down like a watercolour as a lovely base layer for your drawings. So it's a really quick thing to set up and use like that. So there's that. I've got the time lapse at the end of this video showing you this sketch here. And yeah, you can get that thick. This is done in a moleskin, but you can get on watercolour paper that thick, opaque looking look to it if that's what you want. You just have to go over it a few times to get that look, but it is possible, as you will see in the time lapse. So that's another one. If you use it watery, I'll just show you this little bunch of flowers that I quickly did. Use wet into wet, use them watered down quite a lot like with a watercolour. You can have a lot of fun doing things like this with it. This is something I'd like to explore a bit more because it works really well, and again you could draw into them or do all manner of things. If I just go to this side of the page, it's like another little doodle, and it was of a sunflower field. So again, I just layered it, I did more layers on the paper. This isn't brilliant paper for it really, it's Royal Talens sketchbooks, but yeah, you can get a more opaque look. Obviously it's great for drawing over and using mixed media with. And another little sketch that I found that I've forgotten about, and you know, I'm not sure, I think I used other gouaches on top of it, like acrylic gouaches, but this just goes to prove that you can obviously mix it with lots of different media and use it as a nice base for working into. I would really like to see, because as much as I love the size of it and the gorgeous tin that it comes into, I think it would be fabulous if they could bring out like a really tiny, like portable one. I think that would be really nice and easy to take around with you. What do you think? So yeah, the brush that comes with it, which is sat here in some water, I think it's really great. The white is good. Obviously you can replace it with another white when you've used that up. I've seen a lot of people say as well they mix the white into the colours to make them more opaque as well. Obviously it's going to make them more of a pastel or a tinty colour, but you will get that opaqueness with it as well if you do want to use it. Do you have this set? How do you find it? Have you tried making your own dried gouache palettes like I have in the past? Have you found them? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you enjoyed the review, I would really appreciate it, and see you next time. So bye for now. Bye.